if we survive the apocalypse? So what if we could talk to animals? So what if we could time travel? So what if we? So what if we?
So Karl, this week. So what if we survived the apocalypse? Right.
Okay.
Again, we're just bringing the questions that we all fucking ask each other after. Well, I say we all. I'm making it sound like a universal thing. You know, when you just sat with your friends, you've had a few drinks, and you're like, "What if everyone died?" So that's what we're going to talk about.
Regular occurrence, yes.
So what we're pondering today, Karl, is what if we survived the apocalypse? So I think, firstly, before we go into the survival element, we need to discuss like what kind of apocalypse. What kind of apocalypse we're talking? Yeah. So you've got your traditional like Walking Dead kind of shit. Traditional,
like all the other
your zombie
all your
stuff,
other
right?
apocalypses.
Right?
I mean, as a Resident Evil fan, you've got to kind of
like. So I think zombies is probably like the main like apocalyptic thing people go for. You got your Mad Max type shit, you know what I mean? Then you've also got like
that's where a guy called Max goes mad.
Yeah, he kills everyone.
Okay.
But you got like your alien stuff. You know, you've got like your I Am Legends where like, oh, there's a disease that killed most of the people. Well, in that one it was all of the people. You got like tons of different scenarios, and
nuclear war.
Kind of want to ponder them all a little bit, right? But like we kind of supposed to discuss our survival. I suppose we need to maybe agree on one as well. Let's discuss how we would survive that scenario.
Should we talk about each of them in terms of what we think is most likely?
Okay, so I personally think the most likely thing is like some sort of disease wiping people out, right? I think
that would never happen.
You're going to have like a Boris Johnson type in charge of the country. And no, I think like you look at like that whole fucking germ thing, and we're coming off the back of COVID now. You go, what if COVID was like really bad and fucking killed most of the world, right? Yeah. So then you go into that, like that feels probably more likely than zombies or aliens or shit like that, doesn't it? So I think, maybe something like that. And we've seen TV shows based on this before. I don't know if you ever remember the film Survivors, not the film, TV show Survivors. I even said TV show before I went into it, and it's still anyway. Where they were like, I want to say it was like 80+% of the population were gone. So it was like the remaining people trying to survive, which we've hit on before, but I think it was based on a novel that's been adapted a dozen times. The one I watched was Survivors. And it was like, okay, they're trying to find people who aren't assholes. There's a lot of people who are assholes, and it's trying to get like revisions and such like that. So it's just trying to survive on like the limited amount of people that are left in the world.
Yeah.
So the threat wasn't an outside threat, it was like the other people. Everyone's like got this immunity to whatever the disease was, but then some people are just pricks.
Yeah.
So that I think is probably the more likely if we were ever to have an apocalypse.
You could probably say similar to like with like nuclear war, for example. Like if all the nukes get fired around everywhere, then it's kind of like that's another
war. What is it good for?
Well, yeah, absolutely nothing except for survival.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Just some psycho with his finger on the button just pushes it one day.
I mean, you talk about disease. What if that disease is the kind of disease that turns people into zombies?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, that is
so many different. Maybe we can't just pick. Maybe we have to discuss all the options.
Maybe. But I like, you know what? Like the zombie thing, I actually can't decide what's more terrifying. To be honest, like I don't the constant sort of anxiety of like trying to like get food and shit, and knowing that like there could be zombies after you and stuff. That I don't know. That'd probably stress me out.
Could be aliens walking amongst us. I mean, do you remember Signs? I fucking love Signs. Another M. Night Shyamalan.
You loved Signs.
I love Signs.
Signs is fucking shite.
No, it isn't.
No, it fucking is.
Take out the whole like Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix dancing in the corn. Take that bit out.
No.
I know it's most of the film.
The moron aliens that landed on a planet where most of the planet is water that can kill them. Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
Slight plot hole. But maybe they didn't have water on their planet. They didn't know.
Or the fact that for some reason, right, this kid knew that he needed to hit the alien with a bat.
Swing away.
Yeah. I said, oh my God, they're vulnerable to bats.
Who knew?
Who knew? Without that kid, we would never have known to hit them with blunt weapons.
It was a perfect storm. It was only like when they were a bit wet.
It was a country full of guns as well.
Didn't work, yeah. It just didn't have the same blunt force as a bat,
Signs. I can't believe you think Signs is good.
I like Signs.
I think we can both agree Signs is better than The Happening.
Oh, well, yeah.
Remember The Happening?
Do you know what I watched?
Where plants just were like...
You know what I watched? Old. one of his latest films. You know,
no,
you watched it?
No.
Have you watched it?
Look, you seem to be a Shyamalan fan, and I don't like that.
I'm a Shyamalan fan. We need to
Shyamalan?
Shyamalan. Yeah, we'll start that fan club. But it's good. Watch
Nah.
it, honestly,
Nah.
I enjoyed it.
No.
He's had some terrible ones. Remember, like The Village, and it was.
Has he had any good ones?
Anyway, we are going way into
Right,
M. Night Shyamalan.
other than Sixth Sense,
Sixth Sense was good. Signs was good.
right, which
Unbreakable.
is worth one watch, right?
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable is okay.
What?
Blitz is really good. It is, but that's mostly McAvoy carrying that.
Unbreakable's better.
Isn't that sitcom that's on Netflix?
You know.
Thanks.
Yeah. So anyway,
Sorry. So
stop digress to Shyamalan.
Okay, but we need to double back to why you like Science.
I liked it. It's one of the first films I went to go see in the cinema. I thought it was quite suspenseful. I just enjoyed it. Okay, leave me be.
They tried to convince us Mel Gibson's a priest. You couldn't get any further from.
Oh yeah, I mean there's that. But as I say, take out them two dances.
I feel like Shyamalan does that to us a lot. Because in The Happening, he tried to convince us that Mark Wahlberg was like a science teacher. I was like,
They're going to be
no,
like,
he's not.
tried to convince us Mark Wahlberg was an actor. Okay, so there's lots of different ways it could happen, and I think maybe we do need to kind of hypothetically discuss all,
Okay,
like how
fair.
we would
That's
deal
fair.
with each of them.
Okay, that seems like a fair.
If nothing more than to pad the show.
Well, that also is a good point. Okay, so I want to start with because I feel like there's probably less humor in this, but I want to talk about it, right? And that is the what I call the I Am Legend scenario, right?
Okay.
Because I think this is probably the more terrifying for me as ideas go, and that is you're the only survivor.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even care whether there's an outside, like he was dealing with like aliens or
He had
whatever.
his dog.
No, he was dealing with the fucking monsters or whatever, right? But the idea he was just on his bill.
Yeah.
That's fucking terrifying.
Well, he had an unbeatable defense. He just go up to people and slap them and say, "Keep my wife's name out, you fucking man."
You just got Chris Rock. Fair, but no, it's like I don't know. Like on some level, you look at the I Am Legend scenario. It was set in the States, so ready access to guns, so he could deal with the threat on a level. Plus, they could only come out at night, so as long as he hunkered down at night, he was generally all right, right? So he managed to survive a while, talking to mannequins because, losing his shit a bit. Right?
Better than a volleyball in Castaway, I suppose.
Yeah, but the idea of being the only one left, right, is terrifying. But I think I'll go nuts pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that, and this sounds like really fucking weak-willed when I say this, but like, I'm like, okay, so that means I'll have to like try and fix any damage I do to myself, right? There's no doctors or shit like that. I'll have to try and like, because food would run out, so I'd have to try and find a load of tin food for starters. But after a while, I'm gonna have to try and grow some food and shit like that. So I'm gonna have to become very, very, very fucking reliant on doing stuff that I'm used to society doing for me.
Yeah,
and that I would not survive beyond like maybe a few months, where I could maybe find medicines. And do you know, I'd probably kill myself in the first week by going, okay, that looks like it's getting infected, and these look like antibiotics. That would be me done because I took the wrong thing.
Well, I mean,
possibly.
It's a very morbid kind of stance on it, but like, if you were legit the only person left and you knew for a fact you were the only person left, would you want to be the only person left? Like, it's not like you could find someone to repopulate the planet.
No, you couldn't. But, I mean, you could try and, I don't know if it'd help, but you could wank. That would, it's
that could help.
in the same realms of repopulation. You just kind of on your bill, aren't you? So
I mean,
if about all you got.
I mean, if it was like a nuclear thing as well, then maybe you'd like grow.
Nuclear wink?
Well, no, maybe you'd grow like 2 extra penises, and you'd just be like
dual wielding.
You never know. There could be perks.
Like, I don't know. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, why would you want to be? But like, then you'd have to. As much as this sounds weird, you'd have to have the guts to fucking kill yourself as well.
Well, yeah. Or just like allow yourself to be, succumb to the zombies, if you will. Or basically,
I'd probably drown myself or something. You like eat me? Like, what the fuck?
Well, I've never been eaten before. Life's about experiences. But yeah, I mean, like, what's the point in carrying on? Like, what are you living for? You could try and maybe knock up a zombie, and kind of starts a new
Have you ever
population
considered
of.
working for the suicide hotline, Carl?
I think
What are you living
great.
for? Jesus. No, I'll take your point.
Ever thought about knocking
But
up
like,
the
and I
zombies?
suppose that's one of the factors in the film is like he just happened to be the only survivor, but it was also like a mad scientist and like could work on a cure.
Yeah.
So he was like trying to cure the monsters.
Coincidental, that, isn't it?
And you go, well, okay, he had a reason, he had a drive, didn't he? He was surviving because he was trying to make this cure and hopefully, bring some population back. Because I always loved, slightly digression here, but in the book, essentially he never finds a cure, and he realizes that he's the monster, which I always thought was a brilliant way of looking at it. It's like the world's now full of these monsters.
He's the odd one out, so
He's the one who's turning up.
them.
He's rocking up in the daytime, trying to kidnap them to cure them. So he's their monster. He's their myth is like, oh, he'll get you, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he doesn't understand them, but he thinks he's trying to help when he's really not. And I think there's like a bit where basically they sort of, again, it's horrible, like, but they sort of managed to capture him, and they like got him, I think, tied to a pyre because they're gonna burn him or whatever. And he realizes like, yeah, they felt the need to deal with their monster, which was him. And I thought that was a nice little flip. In the film, instead they go, no, Will Smith saves the world.
Yeah.
He finds a cure and sacrifices
And then
himself.
he just starts singing Getting Jiggy with it as the title credits roll. Yeah.
So it's a shame I get why they wanted a happier ending in the film, but the happier ending was like, well, I actually found some other people that were never in the book, and I made a cure, but I don't survive, but they get the cure and they fuck off. Yeah. And you're like, okay. And now they're making a sequel where somehow he's in it. So whatever, right? But yeah, but that scenario, I don't think I'd survive it very quickly. I'd love your opinion on how you'd approach it, because strangely the people were gone. So if we look at the exact scenario, like he was having to like navigate through like lions and shit because like the animals were still around.
Yeah,
nothing was keeping them caged anymore.
Zookeepers.
So they were just like roaming the fucking streets and killing each other and stuff. So he's like, not even the monsters in the daytime. A lion could just fucking pounce on him if he didn't keep his wits about him.
How did they just roam the streets? You know what I mean? Because they're still caged.
I assume at some point the lack of security meant that they could because I imagine it's more than just cages in it. They would go, well, security would keep them at bay and wouldn't let them climb shit and stuff like that. So imagine if they got desperate and hungry enough, they found a way out or climbed out, and there's nothing to stop them, nothing to stop deterioration in the zoo. So if there's like a weak spot, they could probably get through. There's various other bits. I'm sure there was a load of dead lions in the zoo, if that helps.
Well, yeah, it does.
Yeah, it makes you feel better.
Oddly comforting to know.
But in that scenario, I'd give myself maybe a few months. I'll find some supplies. I'll just find a house that feels relatively secure, and just sort of, probably not do anything but try and survive for a bit.
Yeah, it's one of the more milder scenarios in it, because you can basically, you're all right in the day and you're just gonna get your kip at night, as long as you got somewhere safe and secure to have your sleep.
That's the key.
You're sound.
And you don't draw too much attention to yourself overnight.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't think that one would be too bad, I suppose. I think
other than the crippling loneliness.
Well, yeah, there is that. I think if you remove that factor though, and it's like there's no night or day restriction, it's just like the zombies coming to hunt you or something coming to hunt you constantly, that's where it gets trickier, isn't it? Because like depending on like how do you actually survive, I suppose, is the question.
How do I survive?
What's your tactic? Like if it's a nuclear thing, you probably want to get in a bunker, go underground, and get out of the way. If it's like, I don't know, zombies or something like that, you just try and get to like a really like tall tower out of the way. So good, then that's logistics in terms of being able to eat and hunt and whatever.
On the nuclear front, I think surviving that would just be sheer luck. Because you never know what's going to happen there. So you just happen to be somewhere that was insulated away. Like, you just happen to be in a fucking nuclear bunker somehow.
Yeah.
Like, I think, how else do you, like, accidentally survive that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Like, you never know when it's going to happen. Unless you can somehow plan ahead, which you can't. Or you're one of these doomsday preppers and you just happen to live in a bunker. So I feel that's more likely just sheer luck that you survived. And then sheer luck that you weren't stupid enough to walk into the irradiated area.
Yeah.
I
mean, I don't know how long
I
it would
love
take.
Fallout as a game. So the fact that that would be pretty cool. And we all suddenly start paying for shit with bottle caps.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how long it would take from the point we know that there's a nuclear attack or we're about to be bombed or something how much time have you got then to find?
Fine.
Do you know what I mean? Like if that came on the TV, obviously what's the we had those things on our phones, didn't we, a couple of months ago?
Oh yeah,
like
the scary alert.
The
thing.
scary alerts.
Yeah, it's
So-
like, oh, it didn't work for half years. Sorry.
Yeah,
about
it's
that.
like, well, that's reassuring. But like, if tomorrow you got that alert on your phone and it was like, nuclear strike is going to be here in 8 hours, what the fuck do you do? What do you do?
Well, look,
because
right,
like you
I'm
said,
gonna
like,
apply
you're not
this
gonna
to-
happen upon a bunker.
Do you want me to be completely honest? I'll do exactly what I do with any alarm. I'll wait and see.
Snooze.
Well, maybe. Well, like, as an example, right? Fire alarm goes off in work.
Yeah.
Right? And this may be just a me thing. I want to see how you feel about this, right? Do you get up and immediately leave the building? Or do you kind of look around and see if anyone else cares? Because that's what I do.
Yeah.
I'm like, no one else seems to give a fuck about this alarm. So I'm also not going to give a fuck about this alarm.
Well, I
So
mean,
what I'm going to do if my alarm goes off on my phone is I'm gonna like look around for some people and go, is anyone else worried about this?
yeah. It depends if it's like 9 a.m. on a Friday and it happens every week, then I'm not going to be like, fire! Because I kind of know it's a drill, right? But if it's like during, unplanned, you'd kind of go, do we go to the assembly point then? I guess that's what we do. And then you go, who's the fire marshal? Then some knobhead has to go and put a fucking high vis on, and you're like, guess we're following you, knobhead. But
Funny
I don't
story.
kind of.
I remember,
But-
in a job I used to have, they were appointing like fire marshals and stuff. And the one lass who I worked with, they appointed her as the fire marshal. And she asked a question in the training about, because they said you have to like man the door.
Mm.
And a question was, is she meant to make sure people get out or try and keep them in? And after that, they didn't want us to be the fire marshal.
Yeah, I can see why.
I love the idea of like. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Wow. That's brilliant, to be fair.
Indeed.
But like, no, so I mean, like, seriously though, like, if you got an alert on your phone and it's like, I don't know, say you got 8 hours, say you got 24 hours or 12 hours, it's coming traveling a long distance, I don't know, right? What do you do?
What's the alert saying? I've got 24 hours to what?
Well, there's 24
Yeah,
hours,
safety.
24 hours until there's a nuclear strike
Oh damn!
in your
Okay.
vicinity.
Right. I mean, I'd probably cry for a while.
Well, it's a harrowing thought, though, isn't it?
Like, if I'm being like, let's be really harrowing about it, I would probably end up dead in a car, trying to find some sort of salvation.
Yeah, trying to flee.
Because I'd be
somewhere.
trying to protect my family.
Yeah.
So we'd be driving somewhere, and you go, well, do I know anywhere where it's like safe from nuclear attacks or radiation or whatever? Probably not. So I'd be trying to figure that shit out. The internet would crash because everyone would be trying to figure that shit out. What are you gonna do? Just drive around.
Yeah. I wonder.
Lead's a thing. Let's find some lead.
I don't know whether it would work, whether it'd be the safest place. I don't really know. But like, if you like go to like a big vault, like a bank. I don't know whether they exist or they're just in movies, and you just kind of like, can I please go and live in here with the money for the next couple of,
I've
weeks?
asked if I could go into a vault full of money before now, and they're not really that amenable.
But I mean, there's not been the impending doom of,
You're like, they're like, how about you and me going to this vault? You gotta wonder, like, this nice and safe. Whether they're gonna stop radiation, I don't know.
Yeah.
Question. See, this is where, without planning for it, which I suppose we're kind of doing by talking about it, is like, this is the shit you go, I don't really think about day to day, but I would have no plan if that happened.
Yeah.
So, like,
That's like basically, there's never going to be
I
another
feel like
episode of this
we're
show.
slowly going to talk ourselves into becoming doomsday
I
preppers.
think we will.
Like, Karl builds a basement.
Yeah. Built. Don't.
No,
check
not the
under the
one
rug.
that you keep people locked in. I mean,
Okay.
like one for your
Cool.
safety.
But yeah, so I don't know. I honestly wouldn't. 'Cause I don't drive, so straight away I wouldn't be like, "Let's get out of here,
Whoa.
guys." I'd be like, "So,
Uber's not
what are we
working.
gonna? Come on, you selfish pricks! Like, come on."
We're making Uber would work. You have one guy still working.
Oh, yeah.
I'm making some money.
Yeah, it'd be
okay,
their fucking prices through the roof. It's like,
yeah,
you twat.
Uber's now charging like
Yeah.
£6,000. Like,
Yeah.
huh?
What are you gonna do with the money, dickhead? You'll be dead. But yeah. So anyway, so yeah, kind of a hypothetical, but I was just curious, like if we were told in advance, what would we do? But I suppose yeah, it'd be some form of fleeing, wouldn't it, to somewhere?
At least we wouldn't be these pricks. We're like, well, might as well start looting.
Yeah. Oh, fucking people like that wind me up, Stupid cunts.
So, people look for any chance. Like the clocks have gone back. Might as well start looting. The hell?
It's Tuesday.
That's a looting.
Okay, so where do we go from there? So
Okay, so we're talking nuclear, and I think we can both agree that we're probably dead.
yeah,
Yeah. Like, we're going to try and find some sort of way of surviving, but chances are, bomb's going to hit. We've got 24 hours.
pretty hard
Not
to
gonna
escape that.
happen, right? Okay. So, let's talk zombies.
Okay.
Okay? And I'm not... Because there's even different levels of zombie. Like, if it was 28 days later, which is the Sandra Bullock one where she's in rehab?
Not just her life. Good.
I don't want to get this confused.
No,
the zombie film, 28 Days,
That's a zombie film.
right? So there's another one, isn't there?
I can only think Bird Box is the only thing I'm thinking in my head now.
No, it's not an apocalypse film. There was a film that was suspiciously close to that title, but she's in rehab, trying to recover from being a drug addict. But it was also called like 28 Days or something like that.
28 hours.
I don't know. Anyway,
28 weeks.
I want to make sure that we're talking about the zombie film. But like they were fucking fast zombies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be dead. Right? You got your typical like slow zombies. I reckon reasonably. Like I think there's a level where you'd have to get comfortable with like hitting zombies hard enough to kill them, right? Because I think that would be my first issue. Is it'd be like because we're in the UK, so there are guns, but not readily available. So first thing you have to do is zombies at the door or in the neighborhood or whatever, right? So you're gonna have to get some sort of blunt weapon, and I'm probably gonna be the goon who's like zombie, and it just still stood there, and I'm like, okay, I need to hit this thing harder. Right, and I'd probably have to figure out what level you have to hit them to like really take them out. Yeah. So I'd probably be stood there with like at least the first 2 or 3 zombies trying to figure out how to fucking down these fuckers. You know?
I'd be getting a sword or an axe and just chopping fucking heads off.
Swords and axes. I mean, you wake up right, and you look around your house, right, bar your kids' toys, right. So the swords and guns and stuff, but obviously not going to be effective. What weapons have you got to hand? You don't want to get too close to them. Like I've got knives, right. But I want to be getting right up in there with a knife because I'm not got a machete. I've got a knife, right? So I'm thinking first thing I'm going to do is grab like a bat or a big piece of wood or something like that. You know what I mean? Like so I've got a bit of distance. That's why I want some distance to be able to take these zombies.
Yeah,
out.
that's pretty fair to be honest. I was thinking like an axe or a hatchet or something. We got them lying around.
I'm sure, like because this is slowly turning into one of these zombie survival games, right? I love playing Dying Light. It was a fantastic game, by the way. All right, and you go. Okay, so they were about like finding weapons and stuff and upgrading them and so on like that. So I'd probably like try and acquire an axe or something at some point.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking like first things first, you need something, you know?
Yeah.
Because like I assume if they bite or scratch you get the fucking virus too, right?
Yeah. I think that's quite wise. Some kind of like baseball bat or something to keep them at like you know arm's length. Well, more than arm's length. You
know, some distance in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm hoping at some point you might be able to find a shotgun. There's a lot of hunting going around. So at least a shotgun, right? Mm-hmm. This is the joy where if zombie apocalypse happens in America, it's like, where am I going to find a gun? Oh yeah, everywhere. So that's a bit easier, right? But here it's like there are guns. But
to be fair,
you know, but...
like I'm definitely not a supporter of guns at all. You know, I really am not. So yeah, you can take that what you will, but I suppose that's the only fucking upside in the eventuality that the zombies.
That's probably in the Constitution.
Fair
somewhere.
play, you're more prepared. Yeah. But you know, on day to day, stop killing people, knobheads. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like that would be my initial priority is like, you know, make sure you can at least take them out enough to get away from them. You know.
Yeah.
Because I'm hoping the slow moving. If they're the fast ones, I'm fucked.
That's a very good point.
Come run at you, I'd probably drop something and be like eaten alive.
I don't want to give too much of this away, but my dad is a writer, is a screenwriter, and one of the films he has come up with was basically what if like Olympic athletes got turned into zombies.
Nice.
You're trying to escape the fastest sprinter alive.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh well, if I go really high, well, we've got a fucking pole vaulter or a high jump.
Yeah.
And it's like everything you can think of where, you know, they don't like water, I'll hide one of the zombies.
You've got that one goon that's just skating.
Yeah.
You're no use!
What's the one with the ribbons?
Why are you here?
I fucking love it. But he's fucking great. He's brilliant at it.
But I get what you're saying, like, because this is always the thing that makes you laugh in zombie movies. They always end up being like suddenly like really strong and stuff like that. But like the reality is, they're just decomposing people. So they're still going to be as strong as a person was, or as fast as a person was potentially. Well, usually slower with zombies, to be fair. Like the danger is them biting or scratching you, isn't it? But like you say, what if they were like you what was it, your physical peak, if you will?
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Like, if Brock Lesnar was suddenly a zombie,
yeah,
you fucked, aren't you?
Well, he only shows up on the blue moon. So
eventually, he's gonna get here, and you're in trouble, Mister.
He just suplexed me a lot. I don't think he'd even bite me. He just enjoys throwing people around. But like, so in that example, then say it's like just not super slow, not dead fast, just like kind of like us, but a little bit slower, only slightly, right?
Okay.
Because obviously, the zombie brain. What do you do? So do you go with the flee approach again, or do you think you'll be driving yourself into trouble? Because you don't know where the bulk of the zombie populace is.
Yeah, I would probably, for me, I wouldn't, because this is where it gets difficult, because my initial thought then was like, I'll try and find somewhere that's like walled off, right, so I can secure it, and I can stay there. But then you go, well, you're going to have to venture out for supplies and shit.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking go to the tallest building.
Yeah.
Because it's very unlikely that, it'll take them a fucking time to climb up all them stairs and all that kind of shit, right?
They're notoriously bad climbers.
Yeah. But then I'm thinking, well, again, how do you I'm just going to the shop, me parachute, like, what do you do?
That's the trouble. So you need to be like near amenities. Like, I feel like Walking Dead maybe potentially covered this, although they never really stuck there. But like, you had like a farm, so you can grow your stuff, right? But you're secure enough that your land, you can wall it off as you need to and stuff. That's probably the ideal. That's the optimum. But that's like a long-term plan, isn't it? You can't go and find a
wall
off
a
farm.
Fucking farm that's big enough to grow all the produce to sustain you. Like,
well, for you and your family, like it depends if you want like other settlers and that with you. Like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, talking about family here, I'm hitting you with the hard questions now. What if your family ended up getting bitten by the zombies?
That sucks to be them, doesn't it? I'm joking.
Later, fucker. But like, you know what I mean? Like, fucking hell, imagine that fucking Sophie's choice. Yeah.
Who the fuck is Sophie?
I don't know. Meryl Streep. She's a
Meryl
zombie
Streep
too. Yeah.
Okay. So Meryl Streep becomes a zombie. What would I do?
Like, basically. Yeah. But yeah, like imagine that. Like you got your loved ones, and like, do you have to kill them?
Without being grim about this, I'm not really. If I didn't have my loved ones, I'm not really sure there'd be much point in like surviving anyway.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think that's the underlying thing. Yeah, that was the same thing when I was talking about like if you were the only survivor.
Yeah.
Like, is it what are you fighting for? What are you surviving for?
I think just out of sheer like the only survivor scenario is like you suddenly like that you're like you're just suddenly there in the world and there's no one else. Like part of me would be puzzled at first. You'd kind of survive like what's going on. You know what I mean? You'd maybe try and figure some shit out. I think eventually you'd just give in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like the zombie thing, you know exactly what's fucking happening, don't you? So you go, well, I've lost everyone. Okay.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, there's the chance that you're like, well, I'm the only one left. I'm gonna top myself, and then like, just as you top yourself, someone comes down the street. It's like,
Would you ever see that film? What film was it? The Mist. Was it The Mist?
Think of that.
With that kind of
Stuart Francis joke.
With that kind of grim ending where he like they're in the middle of the mist in his car, and he's like, we're fucked. So he kills everyone in the car. Seen that? And he shoots everyone in the car. So this is like his loved ones, his family. He was kind of, rather than the monsters getting them that are outside in the mist, it's kind of to just off them and then off himself. So he took that burden. So he shoots his family. He's about to pull the trigger, and then the army rock up.
Fuck me.
I was like, that's fucking horrible.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not seeing that.
It's horrible. Yeah, it's one of them films.
Jesus.
But confident it was called The Mist. It's like super popular. There'd be people now going like, it was definitely The Mist. It's a really popular film.
Is it? It's like Stephen King.
I think so.
Yeah. I've never heard of it, so I've seen it.
But yeah, that's the ending. Spoilers. Okay, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Okay. Was there any other ones to explore in terms of?
Like the only other one is kind of a Mad Max kind of scenario. So that's like the world's just evolved to shit. We ran out of like food's getting scarce, water's drying up, the world's just slowly dying, population drops, government just fucking falls apart. So you just descend into like an anarchistic sort of like, well, there are different factions of just nutters, and you have to try and survive through that apocalyptic sort of scenario. So That was kind of how Mad Max went, and I'm like,
you're,
okay.
you're describing Mad Max. All I can think in my head is Lion King. Like, when Scar takes over, it's like it's all gone to shit, and all the hyenas are roaming. There's no food left.
Lion-related politics are insane. Like the minute Scar was dethroned, the rain came back and everything.
Exactly. So basically, I just
did you know lions can control the weather?
Well, there you go.
Crazy
fun and education.
Did you see that? They Have a Word podcast.
No.
It's like they're talking about funny nicknames, and one of them it was submitted, and it sticks with me now because I just it's such a savage nickname scenario. But it was like, oh yeah, the fella in work's called Simba because his uncle killed his dad.
I'm like, actually,
I was like, it tickled me, but it really shouldn't have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing you shouldn't be laughing at, but it's fucking funny.
I fucking love that though, because they have that. It's like they have an overall podcast called Have a Word, but the segment they do about funny nicknames is just fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So basically, the world's gone to shit.
The world's gone to shit.
So how's everyone?
People are still surviving. The population might have dropped a bit, but there's a lot more survivors. So it's not about like a scenario of the zombies or anything like that. It's just the people who are left. There's no governance, so people are just doing whatever the fuck.
Just like vigilantes.
Yeah. So there's a lot more chance of being attacked. There's a lot more this different village is ruled by this person who's a bit of a
that's what I was going to say.
Shit, you know what I mean?
You have to find like-minded individuals and get the fuck out of there.
And that's it. So it's about more trying to survive other people, really.
Yeah.
So it's like, how would you navigate that? Because you're much more likely to get fucking mugged and shit, assuming you don't get fucking attacked and murdered anyway, but more than likely, how would you keep hold of your stuff? Because there's more chance as you travel and trying to find like-minded people, you're more chance of finding people who are just trying to get your shit.
Yeah. I'd have no idea what I'd do in that scenario,
Just keep on driving.
Hello, are you a like-minded?
I'd like to talk to you about God.
Yeah, I was thinking that. It's like fucking Book of Mormon, isn't it? So
that's where I wouldn't survive.
Yeah.
Right there. My glasses would be gone in the first few days. Done.
Full on velvet.
No opticians.
You see my glasses.
There's no opticians left in the world. I'm fucked.
Yeah. See, my eyes are bad, but not like I need to wear glasses. Well, I should wear.
See, if I didn't have my glasses, I could deal with any zombies that are about here.
Yeah,
I ain't seeing that.
I understand even more now why you need a long range weapon. Yeah. You missed
What's happening?
Sorry, love.
Who's out there?
The postman.
There never was an apocalypse.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in the Mad Max scenario, I think it'd be probably easier to survive because I think you just find somewhere where even if they're not fully like-minded, you go, I can live with the ruling here. You know what I mean? Contribute, you survive, whatever.
It's so funny, but like weirdly enough, all those other crazy scenarios, the one that's actually probably the most realistic, I'd be the least prepared to handle. To be fair. You know what I mean? In a weird way.
I get
civilization did just fucking go to shit. I'd be like, oh, fucking no idea. Because anyone could come after you.
Yeah. Because I suppose the thing of let's say government and the way the world is governed has kind of been slowly built as a society, hasn't it? And you go, well, that came from having natural leaders.
Yeah.
That, all right, it's pretty fucking corrupt now.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see why it might end up going to shit. But then, I already know I'm not a natural leader. I'm not going to be a guy I've built this town. I'm the governor. I got this shit on lock. We're good.
Yeah.
We're growing food. Come and live with us. We're boss. I wouldn't be that guy. I'd be like, can I live with you guys? I know who I am. I know what I'd be. I wouldn't rule. I wouldn't run.
No.
So you're gonna have to that's what you kind of look for, someone who's willing to lead, because there's a lot of shit going on there, isn't there? You need people building stuff. You need people growing stuff. You need all that going on. And I don't think I'd be like the fucking mayor. You know what I mean? Yeah. I already know that. So.
They'd probably kill me off. Keep more food, more resource for themselves.
You'd be like, I could look at the user experience. Or
so what can I help with? Fucking nothing, mate. You're not having our food.
I've been no use to it.
You have no life skills.
I can use computers a little.
Yeah. No electricity. Well, what if we did a podcast? Nope.
The best I could do would be I can kind of do DIY.
I see. I can't even do that. What could I do?
You blag it with me. You're like, this guy, he knows how to hammer things with nails.
Well, yeah.
And you'd be like, yeah, I know what a monkey wrench is. And Karl just stopped him.
You hear a chimp in the background. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's an interesting point you mentioned there. What what skills do you think we would need to survive?
Okay.
Because you need to start a fire. I don't know how to do that. You do with the flints, do with the sticks.
I think we know from camping, Carl, that I don't know how to start a fucking fire. I could probably start a fire. I couldn't keep one fucking going. We already know that.
But like we did that. We had the fucking access to loads of wood. Like a thing to imagine just in the fucking wilderness.
I think I bought a bag of wood and I had several lighters and still couldn't get the fucking going.
Do we have fluid as well?
I think so. Yeah.
Because you need warmth, you'd freeze.
I feel like I could probably the fundamental idea of starting a fire is there, so I feel like I could probably maybe figure it out. Yeah. Right. It would take a long time. Cooking I could do relatively well. Growing shit would take a bit of practice. I'm not sure I'd ever get used to slaughtering animals, which is mad because I'm quite carnivorous. So.
I think
really want a burger. I just don't know how to make one.
I think in that circumstance, I'd just be like, yeah, fuck it.
It's really sat next to Daisy the cow. Look, I want a burger. Right?
That fucking Bill Hader meme.
Help me out here. What do I do?
Yeah. See, I think
the cow would just be like.
It's easy to say. It's like when you sat at home watching I'm a Celebrity, and it's like someone's eating a fucking goat bollock or something, and you're like, I'll do that. Like if you were actually faced with that, you'd be like, fucking no, right? So it's easy to be like, oh yeah, I'd fucking kill a chicken. I'd be able to, but would I? I don't know.
I mean, killing the chicken would be useless to me.
Well, yeah.
I don't like the taste.
Do you know what? You'd be so fucking stubborn that all that's available. You're on a chicken farm, and you're like, fuck it, no, you starve to death.
You haven't eaten in weeks. Yeah.
Who find me a cow? I'll be okay.
Cow's just like. I think you'd have to I am quite a fussy person when it comes to food, so I feel like that is the reality. Is that you'd be like, look, I'm gonna have to eat chicken.
Yeah, I think think about it. You'd have to get by. You'd have to be rationed to fuck. How gluttonous have we become as a fucking generation? But I've just had the biggest meal ever. Now I'm gonna have some dessert. All about my generation.
What would you miss the most? Because if you consider I love pizza, for instance, right? But pepperoni, I wouldn't be able to fucking make, right?
Yeah.
Because I'd have to slaughter animals, and we've already established I'd be quite shit at that, right? Cheese, I probably wouldn't be able to make decent cheese.
Yeah.
That's
in a way.
Probably might be able to make the tomato sauce. Definitely wouldn't be able to make the fucking bread.
Yeah.
Because I can make bread, but I'd be like, how do I get yeast? To make bread? So the ingredients I'd need to make the bread, I probably would struggle to do. So again, pizza's totally out, isn't it? So what would you miss food wise?
I'm such a fucking vile individual. When you were like, how do you get yeast? I was shitties.
Damn. Okay.
But yeah, I'm terrible. So I'm sorry to anyone. Yeah, stuff like that. I'd miss pasta, pizza, roast dinner. Do you know what I mean? All these things that you just have and you're like, oh, this is delicious. You'd literally be fucking
fish.
Grains and you'd be fucking rice out the wazoo, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But what's that joke from that comedian? He says rice is great when I'm really hungry and I want 3,000 or something.
I can't remember who it was, but that
guy with the glasses, the long hair. He's passed away now, unfortunately. A one-liner comedian. I think he begins with an M.
Mitch Hedberg.
That's the guy. Yeah, that's where I heard that joke.
I love this game. Okay, give me another one.
Yeah.
He's dead. He wears glasses.
They're all dead. They were in the apocalypse, apparently. But yeah, God, in terms of you'd miss so much food, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's another scenario which isn't really apocalypse type scenario, but surviving on an island. You mentioned Castaway before. Do you think you could figure it out like he did? Because I think that's a good example of totally inept at first because he had to survive. He figured out how to fish. He figured out how to make himself shelter.
So the whole world goes underwater. Global warming has gone through the roof, but one little tiny bit of an island I happen to be stood on breaks off.
Yeah, and you're there well,
and I'm the only one.
Wilson.
Exactly. Without a volleyball as well. Jesus. Yeah, you'd have to fish, wouldn't you? You'd have to.
I think fishing is going to become really important,
and
I don't know how to fish.
No.
And if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day.
But if you teach a man to fish,
he steals all your fucking fish.
He does. Yeah.
So you kill that motherfucker instead.
You kill that motherfucker. Yeah, I mean that's another crazy scenario, isn't it? There's so many different ways that the world could end. This is what's depressing me, I think.
So many different ways that the world could end. I feel like we're heading on a downward spiral here.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, I suppose I'm kind of hoping for a Mad Max scenario. I think that's probably my best chance of surviving.
Really? I was saying before, I think that's the one I've got the least chance. Because, like, at least if it's like...
I need other people in the world to survive.
No, I get that, but, like, at least if zombies are coming after you, you'd like to think that a group of you could still survive. But you'd be like, who's the enemy? That fucker there who's, like, frothing at the mouth and trying to eat me, right? But
then the zombies behind them.
And like the Mad Max scenario, you could just be like, oh, are you safe? Yeah, yeah. Oh, actually, I'm a vigilante. Bam, you're dead. Like...
Stab you.
Yeah, stealing all your shit. So, do you know what I mean? Like,
happens beyond Thunderdome. Yeah, I get you. Sorry.
That's where you go to be safe. The WWE Thunderdome.
Do you think entertainment would go out the window? We've talked about what you need to survive, and like we joked about, like, oh, we'd be no use, and you meant, oh, well, what about a podcast? Like, there must still be a need for like amusement. So do you think like
a radio show, the
like,
wireless?
Would you think like whilst having no discernible skill, do you think like someone who's like a really good singer would actually be a benefit to like this apocalyptic world because people still need to be amused in some way?
I mean, it depends, doesn't it? It's like, no. Suddenly the zombies are like, there they are.
No, like let's look at probably going back to the Mad Max scenario, or like a scenario where you can have like a relatively safe, like let's say a zombie apocalypse, but we've got a town that's walled off, so we're relatively safe. And you go, okay, so we've got a doctor, we've got a mechanic, we've got a chef, we've got Ariana Grande. Like, she's here just because she can sing and it amuses us. Like, do you think that is a thing? Do you think you still need entertainment in the world, and that is a value not equal to, but that is a value that would actually be appreciated? Maybe.
I feel like if it was me, I'd be like, I want to be the most like under the radar person ever. I don't, what's that thing? The nail that stands out gets hammered or something. You know what I mean? And it's like,
I think that's an old saying, isn't it?
Yeah. So like, if you're like the famous person, then it's like, well, everyone knows who you are, and they're gonna go after you. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I just want to be like, just give myself to myself.
No, it's just like, hey, you're a funny guy. How about you be a comedian? And you're like, well, I've no other skills, so yeah, I'll do that for the sake of survival. Would you do that?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I suppose. Yeah, be a jester. People just beat the shit out.
People respect the jesters.
Yeah. At least I'm alive.
It's a living.
So, yeah, I think this has made me want to build a bunker.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
How do we build a bunker?
Again, with no discernible skills. Okay. Just start digging.
So you're gonna do that whole who did it? I feel like it might be a James Bond thing where they get someone to build like a bunker and then they kill the people who built it, so they like none of the secrets are revealed kind of thing. Like, oh, you're going to get other people to build a bunker for you? You're going to try and build your own bunker?
Again, it comes back to how long you've got, doesn't it?
Well, you start now. There's no apocalypse planned here.
If I'm starting right now...
You're like, you know what, I'm going to have to get something sorted. You're going to hire some people in?
Oh, yeah. It needs to be done right, isn't it? Imagine if I had to build a bunker myself. I'd be like, here we go.
A tent, and it says bunker on the top.
I'd be like, open up the hatch, and it's just fucking mud everywhere. You're like, come on, children. That sounds weird. I mean, that's just like random children on the street. Don't come into my bunker.
Karl was arrested 5 days later.
Oh, that's not what I meant. But yeah.
Okay. So, let's talk about the freedom element of it. World's gone to shit. There's no governance. You can pretty much go wherever you want and do whatever you want. Is there any place you'd visit? Like, obviously, it wouldn't be as it is. You wouldn't like go to Disneyland.
Well,
rides aren't going to be.
America won't be the land of the free anymore.
Mickey's a zombie who's going to try and bite you, and none of the rides are working. So it's probably not worth going to Disneyland. But like,
it kind of sounds like this thing, doesn't it?
But like, is there any way you'd go? Like, places that are always off limits. Like, well, you know what? I can't go to like the fucking Buckingham Palace. I can't wander around that as much as I'd like. So would you go there just to see what you'd normally is not accessible to the public? Or would you go to a zoo and go, well, you know what? Who's going to stop me from petting the fucking kangaroos? I don't know.
It's a bad idea. I wish someone would have stopped me from petting the kangaroo. I suppose the problem is how'd you get there? Like, assuming like you can still travel and stuff like that. And
I mean, this is the interesting thing is that people always look at this scenario like again, Walking Dead is a good example. Like, for a while they could still use cars and stuff because there was still fuel in them. But obviously fuel has sell-by dates or use-by date, whatever you want to call it. So like eventually that would not be useful. Like you wouldn't be able to use cars. So initially you could drive around. Like, and let's be honest,
like
there's no governance, Carl, so you
fuels.
could drive around.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
I mean
that's how I'd die.
There's mechanical elements to it as well, isn't it? Because you can run them off other fuels, but then you've got wear and tear, so you still need oil to like keep your gears and all that in good shape. Eventually, like it would take a while, but eventually they'd be useless there. And Walking Dead kind of covered that. So after a while of The Walking Dead, I don't know if they did it in the series, but in the comics, they all started riding horses and stuff because the cars were useless to them anyway.
Right. Okay.
So you go, okay. So they still needed to find ways of getting around. That it kind of went a bit more like that, you know.
Makes you laugh though. There's like, oh, all the cars have died, but the horses are still somehow alive and have outlasted the cars.
Well, yeah, because you look after the horses, keep feeding them hay and stuff.
I
don't know what horses need. I would kill a horse by accident.
I'd probably eat the horse.
Well, would you kill it by accident first, or you'd be like, well, I'm hungry, I don't want to ride anywhere, so you're dead?
Yeah, basically. I was like, what do I want to Buckingham Palace for? I'm hungry. Dead horse.
Come here, Buttercup.
It's like being at Tesco. So yeah.
But so let's say you could get to these places though. You find that you're actually really good at riding mopeds, right? So, and you get yourself a moped,
Hidden talent.
and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go see fucking Buckingham Palace. I'm gonna start traveling the world. Why not? Is there any place you'd specifically go that's always been like you've been curious about, but it's kind of off limits?
No, it is a really good question though.
Thanks.
I think most of mine would be like the stuff overseas though. I think that's the challenge. There's not really anywhere in England where
So
I'm
you
like,
need to now ride a boat.
you know what I mean? Yeah, I'd have to like. So I think it'd be a challenge for me, to be honest. I'd love to see fucking go inside tombs in Egypt and stuff, and things like that and all that mental stuff.
You'd definitely end up dead in there.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But like in this country, and I know it's not stuff that's like probably high up on your bucket list, but let's say like you're like, well, the world's fucked, and like you see down the street all the time, but I couldn't walk around it, so let's have a little nosy.
I mean, if I was around,
yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. If there's no entertainment, I mean, I'd still just be trying to avoid the zombies as opposed to let's go on a sightseeing adventure. But imagine you'd like go on your little sightseeing adventure and you just end up getting attacked by roadmen anyway. Well, exactly. Yeah, and you'd be like, well,
you did see blood. Like, oh,
this is why I don't go to London.
Every time.
Wait a minute. Oh, there's so many zombies here. No.
They're not zombies. They're just on their phones.
Yeah.
Trying to be political
there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I get like a lot of the interesting stuff's probably overseas. But the you see, what Britain did for a very long time was they took all the cool shit that other countries had and they accumulated it here. So you could go to a museum and see some cool stuff.
That's a good idea.
And you could actually just go past the velvet rope if you wanted
to.
Is
there anything that's like really off limits? Like obviously Buckingham Palace is a great example, but is there anything that just like
depends how you define off limits? Like you can go to a museum. Right, so
yeah,
you
but
could go to the Titanic Museum in Liverpool, for instance.
Yeah,
but you can't touch all the stuff, right? You can't open the glass cabinets or whatever. So, any of that you'd like?
But is there anything that's like never been seen? Because it's like kept away from.
Well, I'd have to leave the country, but like as I understand it, the Vatican have a library of stuff that you're not allowed to see. They keep. No, they have like. And this is all like tinfoil hat stuff, but apparently they have like an archive in the Vatican that's full of like books and stuff that they don't want you to see.
Yeah,
which I'm like kind of curious.
Area 51.
Area 51. That is a fucking
straight there.
What if there's actually aliens though? And you're like, shit.
What, like alive in there?
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
It's like you're the only man to survive the apocalypse, and then you get probed by an alien. Like, well done, Karl.
Yeah. Yeah,
take me with you.
That's so me. Just like slightly off topic as well. I saw some random TikTok today of some Canadian guy who's basically adamant that there's a pterodactyl in Canada, and they think that because of the wildfires that have been going on over there, it's disrupted wherever they were nesting. Basically saying there's like something with a wingspan of like fucking huge wings. I don't know.
So why has he gone straight to pterodactyl?
Well, he saw it. He said it looks scaly. It's got like a tail that splits off at the end, and it looks like a pterodactyl. And people being like, "Oh no, it's this type of thing." It's like, no, it's not that.
This is a funny thing with what I was like about people who wear tinfoil hats. Is like the way pterodactyls look is based on our best theory.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what are the odds that it looks exactly like we thought it would?
Well, I mean, I don't think he said it looks exactly like, but
he said it was scaly.
Well, yeah.
Well, like, haven't they recently said that dinosaurs are most likely feathered like birds?
Well, maybe.
So it's not scaly then?
Well, or
So
it is
why is it
scaly and
scaly?
it's not a pterodactyl. You just got it wrong.
It's a giant flying lizard.
Yeah, maybe. Could be a
Just
dragon.
fucking found dragons, right?
Yes, exactly.
And they just happen to be in Canada.
Well, yeah. Apparently, like, he started mapping it out, all the places there's been sightings. No one's managed to record this sighting yet, so it's probably all bullshit. But they're just like, isn't that fascinating? Imagine if there's like something which is, like in the sea at the minute. Do you know what I mean? Imagine if for whatever reason, imagine the world gets wiped out. Yeah, so there's an apocalypse. You're the last person, or we're the last people on
Me?
there,
Okay.
right? And then all of a sudden, there's all these creatures underwater going, "You're safe up there now," and they start fucking crawling out of the sea, and you're
Dude.
like,
That's terrifying. Well, how can they breathe?
well, maybe they've always been able to.
Do they have
but
reverse scuba suits?
maybe. Like, yeah, there's certain animals that can breathe, like hippos, right? In and out of water.
Well, hippos don't live underwater, though.
Well, maybe that's a bad example, but there's animals that can do both, right?
No.
Yeah, there is. There is, of course there is.
One example of an animal that can live underwater and on land.
There will be. A frog.
Frogs can't live underwater. Right, I suppose that's the difference, right? Frogs, even whales, weirdly, they breathe oxygen. So they have to, like, come back up. But, like, whales are fucking massive, as I understand it. I'm trying to act like I know. Someone's going to correct me on this shit. Right?
Yes,
But
whales are
they
big.
can hold their water. They can hold air in their lungs for a very long time and be underwater for a very long time. But they can't, like, stay underwater. But I think that's how it works with frogs.
Well, maybe this undiscovered species can do both. Stop putting holes in me fucking ideas, right? But imagine that, like mankind on Earth has stopped whatever's under this fucking sea from coming back up, and they soon go, pretty quiet up there. Maybe we should go check it out. They go up, and then all of a sudden there's an uprising from the sea.
Like that time in The Simpsons when the dolphins came back on land.
Of course, Simpsons did it.
Of course, they always did it.
How did the Simpsons survive an apocalypse, Anthony? That'll make this whole fucking thing. Just do what they did.
Well, they survived an apocalypse, and they have done it.
Of course they have.
They survived an apocalypse because Homer was he was visiting Herman's water supply store and looking at air raid shelters because he heard that the French were going to bomb him. So he happened to be in the shelter when the bomb hit. And then it turns out his family is still alive because of all the lead paint that they painted the house with over the years. Made it a perfect bomb shelter in itself.
Okay.
So he and his family survived. Everyone else turned into horrible freaks.
Nice. So that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Lead paint.
Yeah.
Simpson said.
Okay. So before we kind of wrap up and think, like, I guess, and kind of frame all the bollocks we've spoken about into a condensed 5 minute, this is what we think. Who do you think has a better chance of surviving the apocalypse out of us? I think you.
Have you and me?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be a dick about this, but I think me as well.
Yeah, I think you. I think you're just more of a handyman person. You can drive. You'd be able to get away.
I'm just thinking tools at my disposal straight away. Like we're talking a zombie scenario. I've probably got I've got a nice big car, got a hammer, readily accessible. So you say, bit of DIY. I could probably tool up to deal with the zombies. I reckon I could probably get equipped quite quick.
Yeah, you're more of like a handier hands-on.
I think you'd be
person,
like,
aren't you?
"Where's my stuff?"
Yeah, I'd be like, can someone like drive me out of the house?
If it helps, I'd come and pick you up. Like,
yeah, there you go. You said before I couldn't be a leader, but you could be a saver. You know?
ah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, I think we'd both eventually be dead. Quite quick.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Terrible mistake. Why did I go this dick? Yeah, I think I'm absolutely snookered. To be fair,
I think the minute you realise you can't order Domino's, you'd be snookered.
oh fucking hell, I didn't think about that. I can end it now.
None of the apps are working. That's another
What do
thing.
I
We're just
do?
so used to the internet. We're currently putting stuff onto the internet.
Maybe it would be the
And that
greatest
wouldn't
thing
exist.
for all of mankind.
But, like, how
Twitter would be dead.
dull would the world be? Like how used to, right, not having physical copies of things have you got, right? So let's talk about downtime for a sec. I know we're trying to wrap the show. Let's talk about downtime for a sec. Everything's on a streaming site, so suddenly you'd have nothing to fucking watch.
I mean, you probably wouldn't have electricity, to be honest.
No, because you could get like solar, couldn't you? Solar panels and shit like that. You either find a house with solar panels on and kill the occupant. Make sure that the house was empty. I kid, of course. But you could either find a house with solar panels and it's going to have at least electricity in the daytime, right? Or you could get like them portable solar packs, and at least power a TV or a tablet or something to keep you entertained. But the fact is, like, you wouldn't have any actual physical items anymore to watch.
Yeah.
You'd end up going to CEX I don't know what the equivalent is over in the States.
GameStop or something.
Like first trip is like let's go down to the Connie. And sorry, went Scouse there. Let's go down and get some fucking DVDs just in case, you know.
What DVDs? Yeah, they'd be
Celine Dion.
Who owns a fucking DVD player anymore? I've got DVDs in there, right? I've got fucking no way of playing them. I don't even got a PlayStation anymore.
See, I've still got the PS4 so I can play DVDs.
Yeah, I'm fucked.
Not that I ever do, but I can, right?
Yeah,
you've got the Switch.
Yeah.
You're like, unless it's on a cartridge,
I
you're
tried.
not
I'm just like,
interested.
just breaks. Not the same. So yeah, so
You haven't even got a disc drive on that thing.
no, that's what I mean. So yeah, so
how
what?
are you going to amuse yourself, Carl? You never going to watch Friends again.
Yeah,
You're just acting it out with hand puppets.
sounds like the other show we just did before.
We were on... Sorry.
We were on a break. My sandwich. Right,
and that's what someone would just find you hunkered down in a room, recreating Friends with hand sock puppets.
I'd
That's what happened.
have a great time. To be honest. Remove all the distraction from the world. Me and my crusty sock puppets.
Could I be?
How did they get crusty? So to condense everything we've just spoken about, right? So what if we survived the apocalypse?
So what if we survived the apocalypse? We'd last a few weeks, and then
I'd lasted a couple of
apparently
days.
probably kill ourselves. I think is probably where that landed.
Basically, yeah. What a fun-filled
What a
show.
fun-filled episode. Now, I like to think that, dependent on certain scenarios, I like to think we figure out a way to survive, right? And I think that probably the biggest issue would be like doctors is probably the biggest factor, isn't it? Like you get an infection, like especially even now, I'm like, oh, it'll probably be okay.
Fucking stock up on super glue is what I'd do. I can't do stitches. Be like, I've got to glue in this shit back together.
That's how you'd end up hurting each other as well. 'Cause like, I saw a thing in Lost where he used like gunpowder. We were trying to just burn it, and then we just end up hurting each other badly. So
yeah, just experimenting wildly on each other.
well, that... well, you know,
Okay.
no.
Well, there's an apocalypse. Well, shit would go down. Yeah, as always, enjoyed that one. Laughed a lot. I hope you all enjoyed it as well.
And what would you do if you survived the apocalypse?
I like that. I was just about to say, what's our sign off? That's it. That's it right there.
Well, you can do it with literally because it's so what if we? So what would you?
Yeah. So what if you survived the apocalypse?
Engage.
The crowd goes wild.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun.
Indeed.
And the first episode that matches our lovely new theme song as well. So
Nice.
So
Yeah.
what if we survive the apocalypse? So
Indeed. Probably one of the first questions we came to our mind when we were like, well, let's do a podcast about
Indeed.
not wrestling.
yeah. And then we were like, we don't want to actually think about stuff, so let's just talk about TV shows. That's why we went with
Talk
episode
about
one.
random shit.
But yeah, get prepared for more crazy things as we talk
Indeed.
hypotheticals.
Indeed. And even when the social starts, like, actually being used, we'll maybe even go, well, what do you think we should talk about?
Absolutely.
Bring stuff to us.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose when you're watching this, it'll be live, right? So tell us now in comments or on social media.
It's a good point.
What do you want to know? So what?
Talking like you know where we are right now. We haven't
We're
set
gonna
anything up
release
yet.
it in the future. But yeah, so tell us.
Welcome to 1940. How did we end up back in time? You'll find out.
Tell us what you want us to hypothetically ask.
Yeah.
I liked your sign off better. So,
So what if you? There you go.
what if you survived the apocalypse? And yeah, we'll see you next time.